how small, and revisit them when doubt creeps in. Acknowledge how far you've come and let those victories, however modest, remind you that progress is happening. Build a habit of rewarding persistence, not just success. Celebrate the act of pushing through, as it strengthens your resolve for future challenges. Additionally, reframe your mindset about setbacks. Instead of seeing them as proof you should quit, view them as feedback, an opportunity to adjust your approach. When you face an obstacle, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The answers often reveal the very tools needed to continue moving forward. Another powerful tool is community. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, hold you accountable, and remind you of your potential when your own resolve falters. Whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a like-minded group, their encouragement can be the push you need to keep going. Above all, remember that the moment you feel like quitting is often when a breakthrough is just around the corner. In 2025, make a commitment to embrace these moments as defining tests of your character. Push through the discomfort, and you'll find that what lies on the other side isn't just success, it's a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. The desire to quit isn't the end, it's the beginning of something greater. Trust in the process, endure the trials, and let perseverance become your defining trait. The greatest lies we tell are often the ones we tell ourselves. Little justifications, small excuses, comforting but false narratives. They're not always blatant fabrications, but subtle whispers in your mind that say, "It's not the right time," or "I'm not ready." These lies keep us in a loop, postponing action and progress indefinitely. The harsh truth is that until you face them, you'll remain stuck in the same patterns year after year. The Stoics believed deeply in self-honesty, a principle that requires confronting your own illusions and admitting where you've fallen short. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." This isn't about perfection, it's about incremental progress. But progress is impossible if you're unwilling to admit where you've been holding yourself back. Self-deception often starts small. It can be as simple as promising yourself that you'll start tomorrow, that you'll take the leap when you feel more prepared. But here's the truth that stings. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Waiting for it is just another form of procrastination. Each day you delay, you reinforce the habit of postponement, and that habit becomes harder to break. Imagine standing at the edge of a cold lake, hesitating to dive in. You tell yourself you're waiting for the water to warm, but deep down, you know it won't. The discomfort of diving is unavoidable, yet the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to take the plunge. Life is much the same. Action, even imperfect action, is the only way forward. So how do you overcome these self-imposed barriers? The first step is ruthless self-awareness. Take time to reflect on your actions, or lack of them. Write down your goals and honestly assess whether your daily habits align with achieving them. Be brutally honest with yourself. If you're not putting in the work, admit it. There's no growth without accountability. Next, embrace the discomfort of truth. It's not easy to admit you've been slacking or making excuses, but it's necessary. Growth begins where comfort ends. Acknowledge your fears, your laziness, or your avoidance tactics. These admissions aren't signs of weakness, they're acts of courage. When you name your demons, they lose their power over you. One of the most powerful tools for dismantling self-deception is action. Action dispels illusion. You may believe a task is too difficult, but once you start, you often realize it's manageable. The problem wasn't the task, it was your perception of it. Start small. Take one step toward your goal, no matter how insignificant it seems. That single step can break the cycle of inaction and begin to build momentum. The Stoics also taught the importance of detachment, specifically detachment from outcomes. Many of the lies we tell ourselves stem from a fear of failure. What if I try and don't succeed? But the Stoic perspective reframes failure as feedback. Every action, even unsuccessful ones, teaches you something valuable. Detach from the need for everything to work out perfectly and focus instead on doing what's within your control. Another trap of self-deception is comparing yourself to others. Social media amplifies this tendency, bombarding us with curated highlights of other people's successes. You might tell yourself, "I'm not as talented," or "they've had it easier than me." But comparison is a thief of clarity. Your journey is yours alone, and the only meaningful benchmark is whether you're further along than you were yesterday. In 2025, make a commitment to stop lying to yourself. Challenge every excuse, every justification, and every false narrative that holds you back. Replace them with action and honesty. When you do, you'll find a clarity and strength you didn't know you had. The truth is often uncomfortable, but it's liberating. When you face it head-on, you strip away the layers of illusion that have been clouding your path. You begin to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. And in that clarity, you find the courage to take bold, transformative steps toward the life you want. Start now, not tomorrow, not when it's easier, not when you feel ready. Start messy, start scared, start unprepared, but start. The act of beginning is the most powerful declaration you can make, to yourself and to the world, that you are ready to live a life of purpose and authenticity. In the quiet moments, when you're alone with your thoughts, there's a voice deep inside that whispers truths you often ignore. It tells you where you're falling short, what you've been avoiding, and where your potential lies untapped. Yet too often, that voice gets drowned out by distractions, excuses, or the noise of the world. Listening to it, truly listening, requires courage. It requires stillness. And most of all, it requires action. One of the hardest truths to face is that no one is coming to save you. No mentor, no partner, no stroke of luck will magically transform your life. It's on you. While others can guide, inspire, or support you, the ultimate responsibility for change lies squarely in your hands. This truth can feel overwhelming, but it's also empowering. You are not waiting for a savior, you are becoming your own. The Stoics called this concept self-reliance. Epictetus taught that external events are beyond our control, but our reactions to them are not. This distinction is critical. The world may throw challenges your way, unfair circumstances, failures, or heartbreak, but how you respond is entirely within your power. This is where your strength lies, not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in mastering yourself. To take full ownership of your life, you must stop outsourcing blame. It's tempting to point fingers at circumstances, upbringing, or other people for where you are today. But every time you do, you surrender a piece of your power. The moment you say, "This is my responsibility," you reclaim that power. It's not about fault, it's about agency. You may not have chosen your starting point, but you can always choose your direction. The first step in taking control is understanding what truly matters to you. So many people drift through life chasing goals that aren't even their own, careers chosen to impress others, possessions acquired to signal status, relationships maintained out of obligation. But the Stoics taught that a meaningful life is one lived in alignment with your values. If you don't know what those values are, it's time to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what do I genuinely care about? What brings me fulfillment, not fleeting pleasure? What kind of person do I want to become? These questions are the compass that will guide your actions. Without them, you'll spend your life climbing ladders, only to realize they're leaning against the wrong walls. Once you've identified your values, the next step is to align your actions with them. This is where the hard work begins. It's not enough to know what matters. You must act on it consistently, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. Integrity isn't a part-time job. It's a daily practice, a commitment to living in accordance with your beliefs. For example, if health is a core value, then skipping workouts or indulging in junk food isn't just a minor slip. It's a betrayal of yourself. If honesty is a value, then every white lie, no matter how small, chips away at your integrity. Living by your values isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. When you fall short, as you inevitably will, own it, learn from it, and recommit. But what about the times when your path feels unclear, when you're paralyzed by indecision or overwhelmed by options? The Stoics offer a simple but powerful solution. Focus on what's in front of you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let your mind wander. Keep it focused on what is in the present moment. The only thing you can truly control is the next step. Take it, and clarity will follow." Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. But discipline isn't about grinding endlessly or suppressing all joy. It's about making choices that align with your values, even when temptation or fatigue whispers otherwise. Discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. It frees you from the chaos of impulsivity and the regret of missed opportunities. One of the most transformative habits you can develop is daily self-reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did my actions today align with my values? Where did I succeed and where did I falter? What can I do better tomorrow? This practice, rooted in Stoic philosophy, keeps you accountable and ensures that each day is a step forward, no matter how small. In 2025, let go of the illusion that someone else will create the life you want. Let go of the excuses, the blame, and the distractions that keep you from hearing your inner voice. Take full ownership of your actions, your decisions, and your future. This is your life, and it's happening now. Not next year, not when things settle down, not when the timing is perfect. Today is the only day you're guaranteed. Use it wisely. Listen to that voice inside you, the one that already knows the truth. Trust it, and then act. Not timidly, not conditionally, but boldly, because the life you want isn't waiting for you. It's waiting for you to build it. There's a quiet truth that most people avoid. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is filled with effort. Not dreams, not affirmations, not even talent, just effort. It's a truth so simple it feels almost cliché, yet it's the one thing that separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. The work isn't glamorous. It's not Instagram-worthy or the stuff of viral motivation videos. It's often mundane, repetitive, and hard, but it's where transformation happens. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught that we must focus on the process rather than the outcome, reminding us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. It's a straightforward formula, but one that requires relentless commitment. The person you want to become isn't waiting at the end of some abstract path. They're built brick by brick through the choices you make every single day. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? Not just on the days when you feel inspired or motivated, but on the days when the world feels heavy, when every excuse feels valid, and when giving up seems easier than continuing. Those are the moments that define you. Anyone can work hard when they feel like it, but true growth comes when you push forward despite not feeling like it. One of the most overlooked truths about effort is that it compounds. Just like financial investments grow over time, so do the results of consistent effort. Small daily actions, Getting up early, practicing your craft, making that extra phone call may not seem like much in the moment, but they accumulate. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, you've built something substantial. But the opposite is also true. Small daily neglect, skipping a workout, putting off a task, indulging in distractions, can erode progress just as quickly. The key to harnessing this compounding effect lies in consistency, not perfection. Perfection is a myth that paralyzes more people than it empowers. You don't need to have it all figured out, and you don't need to get it right every time. What matters is showing up again and again, even when you stumble. Every time you pick yourself back up, you reinforce a habit of resilience. Take fitness as an example. Imagine two people. One commits to working out 3 times a week, no matter what, while the other exercises sporadically, only when they feel motivated. After a year, the difference in their results will be staggering. The first person may not have been perfect, maybe they missed a session or had days when their workout was subpar, but their consistency outweighed their occasional setbacks. The second person, despite bursts of enthusiasm, made no meaningful progress because they lacked discipline. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, consistent effort to listen, communicate, and show appreciation builds trust and intimacy over time. In your career, consistently delivering results and seeking improvement earns you respect and opens doors. Even in personal growth, consistent reflection and action help you break free from old patterns and create lasting change. But here's the hard part. Effort requires sacrifice, time, energy, comfort. These are the currencies you pay to achieve something meaningful. The Stoics remind us that nothing worthwhile comes without a cost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." This is a gentle but firm nudge. Stop waiting. The price of procrastination is always higher than the price of effort. Effort also requires focus. In a world filled with distractions, focus is a superpower. Every notification, every scrolling session, every moment spent on meaningless activities steals time and energy from the work that truly matters. The Stoics taught that we should guard our attention as fiercely as our possessions. After all, where your focus goes, your life follows. So how do you cultivate this focus and sustain effort over the long haul? Start by clarifying your priorities. What matters most to you? What are you willing to sacrifice for? Write it down. Make it real. Then, align your daily actions with those priorities. Create a system that supports your goals. Set aside dedicated time, eliminate distractions, and track your progress. The more intentional you are with your effort, the more effective it becomes. Also, embrace the idea that effort doesn't have to feel good in the moment. Some of your most important work will feel like a grind, but that's okay. You're not chasing fleeting happiness, you're chasing fulfillment. The satisfaction of knowing you gave your all, even when it wasn't easy, far outweighs the temporary comfort of taking the easy route. In 2025, let effort be your mantra. Show up, even when you're tired. Push forward, even when the results aren't immediate. Trust the process, even when doubts creep in. The rewards will come, not because you wished for them, but because you earned them. Life often feels like a relentless race, chasing goals, deadlines, and expectations. But somewhere along the way, many people forget to ask a simple yet profound question. Why am I running? The truth is, most of us are sprinting through life without ever stopping to evaluate the direction we're heading. We confuse motion with progress, busyness with productivity, and in the pursuit of more, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. The Stoics believed in living with intention. They emphasized the importance of aligning your actions with your values and your time with your purpose. Seneca wrote, It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Time is not the enemy. How we use it is. Each day offers you a finite number of hours, and the choices you make determine whether those hours are spent building a meaningful life or simply passing the time. One of the greatest truths you'll face is that you cannot do it all. Modern society glorifies multitasking and the hustle, but the Stoics understood that focus is the key to excellence. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, much of our stress comes from trying to manage too many things at once, most of which aren't truly essential. So, how do you break free from this cycle of endless busyness? Start by simplifying. What truly matters to you? What brings you fulfillment, not fleeting satisfaction? Write down your priorities, your relationships, your health, your passions, your personal growth. Then compare them to how you currently spend your time. The gap between the two is where change must happen. Cut ruthlessly. Say no to what doesn't align with your priorities, even if it feels uncomfortable. This might mean stepping away from commitments that no longer serve you, setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, or letting go of activities that are merely distractions. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something vital. What matters is showing up, again and again, even when you stumble. Every time you pick yourself back up, you reinforce a habit of resilience. Take fitness as an example. Imagine two people. One commits to working out 3 times a week, no matter what, while the other exercises sporadically, only when they feel motivated. After a year, the difference in their results will be staggering. The first person may not have been perfect. Maybe they missed a session or had days when their workout was subpar, but their consistency outweighed their occasional setbacks. The second person, despite bursts of enthusiasm, made no meaningful progress because they lacked discipline. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, consistent effort to listen, communicate, and show appreciation builds trust and intimacy over time. In your career, consistently delivering results and seeking improvement earns you respect and opens doors. Even in personal growth, consistent reflection and action help you break free from old patterns and create lasting change. But here's the hard part. Effort requires sacrifice, time, energy, comfort. These are the currencies you pay to achieve something meaningful. The Stoics remind us that nothing worthwhile comes without a cost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." This is a gentle but firm nudge. Stop waiting. The price of procrastination is always higher than the price of effort. Effort also requires focus. In a world filled with distractions, focus is a superpower. Every notification, every scrolling session, every moment spent on meaningless activities steals time and energy from the work that truly matters. The Stoics taught that we should guard our attention as fiercely as our possessions. After all, where your focus goes, your life follows. So how do you cultivate this focus and sustain effort over the long haul? Start by clarifying your priorities. What matters most to you? What are you willing to sacrifice for? Write it down. Make it real. Then, align your daily actions with those priorities. Create a system that supports your goals. Set aside dedicated time, eliminate distractions, and track your progress. The more intentional you are with your effort, the more effective it becomes. Also, embrace the idea that effort doesn't have to feel good in the moment. Some of your most important work will feel like a grind, but that's okay. You're not chasing fleeting happiness, you're chasing fulfillment. The satisfaction of knowing you gave your all, even when it wasn't easy, far outweighs the temporary comfort of taking the easy route. In 2025, let effort be your mantra. Show up, even when you're tired. Push forward, even when the results aren't immediate. Trust the process, even when doubts creep in. The rewards will come, not because you wished for them, but because you earned them. Life often feels like a relentless race, chasing goals, deadlines, and expectations. But somewhere along the way, many people forget to ask a simple yet profound question: why am I running? The truth is, most of us are sprinting through life without ever stopping to evaluate the direction we're heading. We confuse motion with progress, busyness with productivity, and in the pursuit of more, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. The Stoics believed in living with intention. They emphasized the importance of aligning your actions with your values and your time with your purpose. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Time is not the enemy, how we use it is. Each day offers you a finite number of hours, and the choices you make determine whether those hours are spent building a meaningful life or simply passing the time." One of the greatest truths you'll face is that you cannot do it all. Modern society glorifies multitasking and the hustle, but the Stoics understood that focus is the key to excellence. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, much of our stress comes from trying to manage too many things at once, most of which aren't truly essential. So, how do you break free from this cycle of endless busyness? Start by simplifying. What truly matters to you? What brings you fulfillment, not fleeting satisfaction? Write down your priorities, your relationships, your health, your passions, your personal growth. Then compare them to how you currently spend your time. The gap between the two is where change must happen. Cut ruthlessly. Say no to what doesn't align with your priorities, even if it feels uncomfortable. This might mean stepping away from commitments that no longer serve you, setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, or letting go of activities that are merely distractions. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something vital. What matters is showing up, again and again, even when you stumble. Every time you pick yourself back up, you reinforce a habit of resilience. Take fitness as an example. Imagine two people. One commits to working out 3 times a week, no matter what, while the other exercises sporadically, only when they feel motivated. After a year, the difference in their results will be staggering. The first person may not have been perfect. Maybe they missed a session or had days when their workout was subpar, but their consistency outweighed their occasional setbacks. The second person, despite bursts of enthusiasm, made no meaningful progress because they lacked discipline. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, consistent effort to listen, communicate, and show appreciation builds trust and intimacy over time. In your career, consistently delivering results and seeking improvement earns you respect and opens doors. Even in personal growth, consistent reflection and action help you break free from old patterns and create lasting change. But here's the hard part. Effort requires sacrifice, time, energy, comfort. These are the currencies you pay to achieve something meaningful. The Stoics remind us that nothing worthwhile comes without a cost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." This is a gentle but firm nudge. Stop waiting. The price of procrastination is always higher than the price of effort. Effort also requires focus. In a world filled with distractions, focus is a superpower. Every notification, every scrolling session, every moment spent on meaningless activities steals time and energy from the work that truly matters. The Stoics taught that we should guard our attention as fiercely as our possessions. After all, where your focus goes, your life follows. So how do you cultivate this focus and sustain effort over the long haul? Start by clarifying your priorities. What matters most to you? What are you willing to sacrifice for? Write it down. Make it real. Then, align your daily actions with those priorities. Create a system that supports your goals. Set aside dedicated time, eliminate distractions, and track your progress. The more intentional you are with your effort, the more effective it becomes. Also, embrace the idea that effort doesn't have to feel good in the moment. Some of your most important work will feel like a grind, but that's okay. You're not chasing fleeting happiness, you're chasing fulfillment. The satisfaction of knowing you gave your all, even when it wasn't easy, far outweighs the temporary comfort of taking the easy route. In 2025, let effort be your mantra. Show up, even when you're tired. Push forward, even when the results aren't immediate. Trust the process, even when doubts creep in. The rewards will come, not because you wished for them, but because you earned them. Life often feels like a relentless race, chasing goals, deadlines, and expectations. But somewhere along the way, many people forget to ask a simple yet profound question: why am I running? The truth is, most of us are sprinting through life without ever stopping to evaluate the direction we're heading. We confuse motion with progress, busyness with productivity, and in the pursuit of more, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. The Stoics believed in living with intention. They emphasized the importance of aligning your actions with your values and your time with your purpose. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Time is not the enemy. How we use it is. Each day offers you a finite number of hours, and the choices you make determine whether those hours are spent building a meaningful life or simply passing the time." One of the greatest truths you'll face is that you cannot do it all. Modern society glorifies multitasking and the hustle, but the Stoics understood that focus is the key to excellence. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, much of our stress comes from trying to manage too many things at once, most of which aren't truly essential. So, how do you break free from this cycle of endless busyness? Start by simplifying. What truly matters to you? What brings you fulfillment, not fleeting satisfaction? Write down your priorities, your relationships, your health, your passions, your personal growth. Then compare them to how you currently spend your time. The gap between the two is where change must happen. Cut ruthlessly. Say no to what doesn't align with your priorities, even if it feels uncomfortable. This might mean stepping away from commitments that no longer serve you, setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, or letting go of activities that are merely distractions. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something vital. Urgency also requires clarity. You can't act decisively if you don't know what you're working toward. Take time to define your goals, not vague aspirations like be happy or get fit, but specific, actionable objectives. What does happiness mean to you? What does fitness look like in your life? Break these goals down into steps, and then start with the first one. Action, even small action, is the antidote to stagnation. The Stoics also taught the importance of letting go of fear. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to urgency. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong choice. It all leads to hesitation. But hesitation is a thief. Every moment you spend in fear is a moment you lose forever. Epictetus said, "He who is not a slave to fear is free." Freedom begins when you act in spite of fear, not in the absence of it. Another harsh truth is that distractions are often the enemy of urgency. In a world filled with endless entertainment, notifications and noise, it's easy to lose hours, even days, without realizing it. Every time you reach for your phone to check something trivial or let yourself sink into the rabbit hole of distractions, you're choosing to let time slip away. The Stoics would urge you to guard your attention fiercely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So how do you create this sense of urgency without falling into overwhelm? Start small. Identify one thing each day that moves you closer to your goal. Just one. Commit to doing it, no matter what. Over time, these small actions build momentum, and momentum creates change. At the same time, practice gratitude for the time you have. Gratitude and urgency are not opposites, they're partners. When you appreciate each moment as a gift, you naturally become more intentional with how you spend it. You stop wasting hours on things that don't matter, and you start prioritizing what does. In 2025, let urgency guide you, not out of fear, but out of respect for the time you've been given. Live deliberately, act boldly. Stop waiting for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist. The perfect moment is the one you create by acting now. Time is slipping by, but that's not a reason to despair. It's a call to action. Use it wisely, not in a frantic rush, but with purpose and clarity. At the end of the day, when you reflect on how you spent your time, let it be with pride, not regret. Let it be with the knowledge that you lived fully, intentionally, and without waiting for life to happen to you. There's a profound truth most people avoid because of its weight. The life you want is on the other side of discomfort. Not the temporary, surface-level discomfort of trying something new, but the deep, soul-stretching discomfort of growth. The kind that forces you to confront your fears, challenge your beliefs, and push past the limits you've imposed on yourself. Growth is not comfortable, and it's certainly not easy, but it's worth every ounce of effort. The Stoics believed in embracing discomfort as a pathway to strength and resilience. Epictetus taught, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." The challenges you face are not barriers, they're mirrors, reflecting your character and revealing where you need to grow. Every struggle, every setback, every obstacle is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you're capable of more. But here's the paradox. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They choose the path of least resistance, seeking safety and convenience at every turn. They stay in jobs they hate, relationships that no longer serve them, or routines that keep them stagnant, all because change feels too hard, too scary, or too uncertain. But in avoiding discomfort, they also avoid growth. They trade the potential for a meaningful life for the illusion of safety. If you want something extraordinary, a career you're passionate about, relationships that fulfill you, health that empowers you, you have to be willing to do what's uncomfortable. That means taking risks, facing fears, and embracing the inevitable failures along the way. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up, even when it's hard, and choosing to keep moving forward. One of the most transformative shifts you can make is to stop seeing discomfort as a signal to stop and start seeing it as a signal to lean in. When something feels challenging or scary, it's often because it's pushing you outside your comfort zone. That's not a bad thing, it's a sign you're on the right path. The Stoics believed that adversity is the training ground of the soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Take, for example, the discomfort of failure. Most people fear failure because they associate it with inadequacy or rejection. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every failure teaches you something valuable, whether it's a new skill, a better approach, or a deeper understanding of yourself. The only true failure is never trying. Another form of discomfort is vulnerability. It's hard to put yourself out there, to share your ideas, your feelings, or your dreams with others. But vulnerability is where connection and growth happen. When you open yourself up, you create space for authenticity, trust, and deeper relationships. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but the rewards far outweigh the risks. Then there's the discomfort of discipline, the daily grind of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up early to work on your goals, choosing healthy habits over instant gratification, and putting in the work when no one is watching. Discipline is not glamorous, but it's the foundation of every great achievement. The Stoics called this prohairesis, the ability to choose your response and stay committed to your values, no matter the circumstances. So how do you build the courage to embrace discomfort? Start small. Choose one area of your life where you've been avoiding challenges. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation, starting a new project, or making a change you've been postponing. Take one small step toward it today. The key is to act before fear has a chance to paralyze you. Next, reframe how you think about discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to be feared, view it as a sign of progress. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you're expanding your capacity for growth. Remind yourself that discomfort is temporary, but the rewards of pushing through it are lasting. Finally, practice self-compassion. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean you have to be perfect or unrelenting. You'll stumble, and that's okay. Growth is messy, and setbacks are part of the process. What matters is that you get back up and keep moving forward. In 2025, make discomfort your ally. Seek it out, not recklessly, but intentionally. Use it as a tool to push yourself further, to test your limits, and to grow into the person you're capable of becoming. Remember, the life you want isn't found in comfort. It's forged in the fire of challenge and change. When you look back, you won't remember the moments when everything was easy. You'll remember the moments when you struggled, when you doubted yourself, and when you chose to keep going anyway. Those are the moments that shape you, define you, and lead you to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Lean into the discomfort. It's where your greatness lies. The final truth, the one most people resist until it's staring them in the face, is this: you will die. It's an uncomfortable reality, but it's also the most liberating one. The Stoics called it memento mori, a reminder of mortality, not to frighten or depress, but to inspire. When you truly understand that your time is limited, every moment becomes precious. You stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop living as if you have forever. The thought of death, when embraced, doesn't lead to despair. It leads to urgency. It strips away the trivial and forces you to focus on what's real. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This isn't a call to fear death, but a call to live with intention. If you knew this was your last year, your last month, or your last day, how would you spend it? The truth is, most of us live as if life is infinite, pushing off our dreams, our passions, and even our love for some undefined future. Someday becomes the most dangerous word in our vocabulary. Someday I'll take that risk. Someday I'll fix that relationship. Someday I'll start living the life I want. But someday isn't guaranteed. All you have is today. This is why the Stoics meditated on death, not to dwell on it, but to sharpen their perspective. When you realize how little time you might have, you begin to see what truly matters. The petty arguments, the trivial pursuits, the constant chasing of approval, they all fall away. What remains are the things that bring meaning to your life, your relationships, your purpose, your contribution to the world. But understanding this isn't enough. You must act on it. It's not enough to know that life is short. You have to live like it. That means taking the risks you've been avoiding. It means having the courage to follow your passion, even if it's uncertain. It means telling the people you care about how much they mean to you, not someday, but today. One of the hardest parts of embracing mortality is letting go of regret. Everyone has moments they wish they could take back, opportunities they missed, or words they left unsaid. But regret is only useful if it propels you forward. The Stoics taught that you can't change the past, but you can shape the future by how you live now. Use regret not as a weight, but as a reminder to do better with the time you have left. Equally important is letting go of the fear of what others think. So many people waste their lives trying to conform, impress, or gain approval from people who may not even matter. When you understand that death comes for everyone, the opinions of others lose their power. What matters isn't how others perceive you, it's how you perceive yourself. Are you living in alignment with your values? Are you proud of the life you're creating? The beauty of memento mori is that it doesn't just remind you of the end, it reminds you of the beginning. Every day you wake up is a chance to start fresh, to live better than you did yesterday. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Begin where you are, with what you have, and make today count. In the end, it's not about how long you live. It's about how fully you live. Did you love deeply? Did you give generously? Did you pursue what set your soul on fire? These are the questions that will matter when your time comes, not how much money you made, how many followers you had, or how perfectly you played it safe. In 2025, let memento mori be your guide, not as a shadow hanging over you, but as a light pushing you forward. Let it remind you to be bold, to be kind, to be present. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start living with the urgency and clarity that only comes when you embrace the finite nature of life. You are here now, and that is your greatest gift. Use it. Build the life you want, cherish the people you love, and leave nothing unsaid. When the end does come, let it find you fully alive, with no dreams left unlived, no words left unspoken, and no regrets left unaddressed. That is the ultimate freedom. That is the ultimate truth. And the quiet moments, when you're alone with your thoughts, there's a realization you can't escape. Progress requires effort, and effort often feels like swimming upstream. It's tempting to stop, to settle, to convince yourself that where you are is good enough. But deep down, you know the truth. The desire to quit isn't the enemy. It's the ultimate test of your resolve. It's the fork in the road where those who rise are separated from those who fall. Everyone feels it, the pull to quit when the weight of effort feels unbearable. It whispers to you that it's too hard, that you've done enough, that maybe you weren't meant to go further. But the people you admire, the ones who've built legacies, didn't avoid that feeling. They leaned into it. They felt the pull to quit just like you, but they saw it for what it was, a sign they were on the brink of something meaningful. Progress is rarely glamorous. It's messy, exhausting, and often invisible. You might push for weeks, months, even years without seeing the results you're hoping for. But every small step forward, every tiny victory, matters. Even when the progress feels insignificant, it's proof that you're still moving, that you're still in the game. And every time you resist the urge to quit, you're building something far greater than skill or success. You're building character. The road to success is littered with moments that test you. There's no avoiding them. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or even opportunity. It's persistence. The ability to keep going, especially when everything inside you is screaming to stop, is the single most defining factor in success. It's not about never wanting to quit. It's about never letting that desire win. Owning your journey starts here. The life you have is the result of your choices. It's a truth that's hard to face, but it's also liberating. If you're willing to take responsibility for where you are, you'll realize you have the power to change it. Blaming circumstances, bad luck, or other people might feel comforting in the short term, but it strips you of your agency. Owning your failures, your setbacks, and your missteps isn't an act of self-punishment. It's a declaration of control. Every failure carries a lesson, a clue about what didn't work and what might work next. These aren't reasons to stop. They're signposts guiding you toward a better way. When you take ownership of your failures, you transform them from dead ends into stepping stones. You create a narrative that says, "This didn't define me, it shaped me." Imagine someone struggling with their health. They might blame their genes, their schedule, or their circumstances. But the moment they take responsibility for their habits, their decisions, and their mindset, they reclaim their power. They realize that every choice, what they eat, how they move, how they think, contributes to their future. This isn't just about health, it's about everything. In every area of your life, ownership is the first step toward transformation. But ownership isn't about perfection. It's not about expecting yourself to never falter. It's about acknowledging where you are and committing to move forward, even if the steps are small. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks are inevitable. What matters is how you respond to them. Do you use them as an excuse to quit or as fuel to keep going? The price of success is steep. It's paid in sacrifices, criticisms, and misunderstandings. But these aren't signs you're on the wrong path. They're evidence that you're pursuing something extraordinary. Disruption always attracts resistance. When you decide to grow, to change, to break free from mediocrity, you will face pushback. From others, yes, but more often from within yourself. Friends might not understand why you're skipping happy hour to work on your goals. Family might question why you're taking risks instead of playing it safe. Society might criticize you for not conforming to its expectations. These reactions aren't about you. They're about the discomfort your ambition creates in others. Success requires the courage to face that discomfort and keep going anyway. Sacrifice isn't loss, it's a trade. You're giving up immediate comfort for long-term fulfillment. The late nights, the early mornings, the moments of isolation, they're not penalties, they're investments. Every time you push through discomfort, you're paying the price of success. And while that price is high, the rewards are worth it. Focus becomes your greatest ally. The modern world is a minefield of distractions, notifications, endless entertainment, and the lure of comparison are constant threats to your attention. But success demands clarity. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. The Stoics believed in this deeply. Seneca warned against spreading yourself too thin, reminding us that to be everywhere is to be nowhere. When you embrace intentionality, you stop chasing balance and start prioritizing. You understand that you can't excel in every area of your life simultaneously. Instead, you dedicate focused periods to specific goals, knowing that life operates in seasons. One season might be for career growth, another for relationships, another for health. The key is to be fully present in whichever season you're in. Success isn't about how quickly you move. It's about how deliberately. Every step you take, every action you commit to, should align with the bigger picture. This doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. It means those mistakes will teach you, redirect you, and ultimately strengthen you. And when the noise of the world grows loud, when doubts creep in, and when the urge to quit feels overwhelming, remember this: you are capable of more than you know. The obstacles in front of you are not there to stop you, they're there to test your resolve. Push through them, and you'll find that on the other side lies not just success, but a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. The journey to success is rarely straightforward. It's filled with twists, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But here's the thing most people don't realize: every setback is an opportunity in disguise. Every challenge you face is a chance to grow, to adapt, and to prove to yourself what you're capable of. The Stoics called this reframing, the ability to see obstacles not as barriers, but as stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just philosophy, it's a blueprint for resilience. Imagine you're pursuing a goal, and suddenly you hit a wall. Maybe it's a failed project, a rejection, or a personal setback. The natural reaction is frustration, maybe even despair. But if you pause, step back, and reframe, something incredible happens. That wall isn't a dead end, it's a test. It's asking you, how badly do you want this? The answer lies in your next move. Do you give up, or do you find a way through, over, or around it? The truth is, failure isn't the enemy. It's fear of failure that paralyzes you. Most people spend their lives avoiding failure, playing it safe, and staying within the bounds of comfort. But comfort is a trap. It's a stagnant pool where dreams wither and ambition fades. Growth lives on the edge of discomfort, where every step forward feels like a risk. That's where you learn what you're truly made of. The fear of failure is rooted in judgment, both from yourself and from others. You worry about what people will think if you fall short, how you'll explain it, or how it might change how you see yourself. But here's a liberating truth. No one is paying as much attention to your failures as you think. People are too caught up in their own struggles to dwell on yours. And the few who do, their opinions don't define you, your actions do. The Stoics believed that external judgments are powerless unless you grant them weight. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies to failure, criticism, and even success. The only opinions that truly matter are yours and those of the people who genuinely care about your growth. The rest is noise. But how do you actually move forward in the face of failure? It starts with acceptance. Acknowledge what happened without self-pity or denial. This isn't about wallowing, it's about understanding. What went wrong? What could you have done differently? These questions aren't accusations, they're tools for growth. Each failure carries a lesson, and those lessons are far more valuable than the temporary sting of falling short. Once you've accepted the failure, act. Don't let the fear of failing again paralyze you. Take the next step, even if it's small. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates progress. The longer you wait, the more fear and doubt will grow. But when you act, you take control. You prove to yourself that failure didn't stop you, it propelled you. Criticism is another hurdle that often stops people in their tracks. It's easy to take it personally, to let it shake your confidence or make you question your path. But criticism, like failure, is a tool if you know how to use it. Not all criticism is valid, and not all of it is constructive. The key is to separate the useful feedback from the noise. If someone offers insight that can help you grow, embrace it. If their words are rooted in negativity or misunderstanding, let them go. You don't have to accept every opinion as truth. Success, ironically, can be just as challenging as failure. Achieving a goal can lead to complacency if you're not careful. It's easy to rest on your laurels, to think, "I've made it," and stop pushing forward. But true success isn't a destination, it's a journey. Each milestone is a stepping stone to the next. The moment you stop striving, you stop growing. This is why clarity is essential. Vague ambitions lead to vague actions. If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've arrived? The Stoics understood this well. They believed in living with intention, in defining your values and aligning your actions with them. It's not enough to want success. You need to know what success means to you. Is it financial freedom, creative fulfillment, personal growth? Define it, and then map out the steps to achieve it. But clarity isn't just about the end goal, it's about the process. Break your ambitions into specific, actionable steps. If your goal is to write a book, start by committing to a word count each day. If you want to improve your health, identify one habit you can change today. These small, consistent actions build momentum. They turn dreams into plans and plans into results. However, even with the clearest plan, distractions will try to pull you off course. The modern world is filled with them: notifications, endless entertainment, and the lure of comparison. But distractions aren't just external, they're internal too. Fear, doubt, and procrastination are all forms of self-sabotage. The key to overcoming them is focus. Protect your time and energy like the precious resources they are. Create an environment that supports your goals, whether it's a dedicated workspace, a schedule free of interruptions, or a circle of people who inspire and challenge you. Success also requires patience. In a world that glorifies instant results, it's easy to forget that true growth takes time. Every overnight success story you've heard is built on years of unseen effort. The oak tree doesn't sprout overnight. It grows slowly, steadily, and against all odds. Your journey is no different. Celebrate small wins, but keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Progress isn't always visible in the moment, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. As you move forward, remember this: the journey isn't just about reaching your goals. It's about who you become in the process. The obstacles you face, the failures you endure, and the victories you earn all shape you. They teach you resilience, humility, and strength. The person you are at the end of the journey isn't the same as the one who started it. And that's the real reward. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not about how fast you can achieve something, but about your ability to sustain effort over time. The world around you constantly whispers promises of quick fixes and shortcuts, luring you into believing that there's an easy path to greatness. But the truth is, the most meaningful successes come not from bursts of energy, but from steady, deliberate action. The oak tree doesn't grow overnight. It stands tall because it endured, because it grew inch by inch, season by season, until its roots were unshakable. The Stoics knew the value of endurance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This wasn't a call to accept mediocrity, but an invitation to embrace the process of growth, even when it feels slow or unremarkable. Because that's what success often looks like: quiet, incremental, and invisible to everyone but yourself. In the age of instant gratification, patience has become a superpower. Most people abandon their goals when results don't come quickly. They want the reward without the work, the finish line without the race. But those who succeed understand that the journey is the reward. Every step forward, no matter how small, builds the foundation for something lasting. Think about a writer working on a novel. Every word they type feels insignificant on its own, but together they create chapters, then a story, then a book. Or imagine an entrepreneur building a business. Each meeting, each sale, each setback contributes to something greater. It's not about any single moment of brilliance. It's about showing up consistently, day after day, even when progress feels invisible. But playing the long game isn't just about persistence, it's about strategy. You can work hard every day and still feel stuck if your energy isn't directed at the right things. Clarity becomes your compass. What are you working toward? What actions will bring you closer to that goal? Success isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart. Focus becomes your ally here. In a world that's designed to pull your attention in 100 directions, the ability to concentrate on what matters is rare. Distractions aren't just obstacles, they're thieves, stealing your time and energy. Every hour spent scrolling mindlessly, every moment wasted on tasks that don't align with your goals, is an hour you'll never get back. Success requires discipline, not just in action, but in attention. To sustain this focus, you need to manage your energy, not just your time. The Stoics believed in understanding and respecting your limits. They didn't advocate for burnout, they advocated for balance. Know when to push and when to rest. Like a marathon runner who paces themselves to go the distance, you need to find a rhythm that's sustainable. Overworking yourself in the short term might feel productive, but it often leads to exhaustion and inconsistency. This balance extends to how you handle setbacks. Success is never a straight line. There will be detours, failures, and moments where quitting feels like the easiest option. But those moments are the ones that test your resolve. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who don't isn't the absence of failure, it's the refusal to let failure stop them. Every setback is a lesson, a stepping stone, a chance to refine your approach. Consider the story of Colonel Sanders, who didn't find success with KFC until his 60s after facing countless rejections. Or the countless inventors, artists, and entrepreneurs who faced failure after failure before their breakthroughs. These stories aren't anomalies, they're blueprints. They prove that resilience is the real secret to success. Resilience doesn't mean ignoring pain or difficulty, it means acknowledging them, learning from them, and continuing to move forward. It's about understanding that struggle isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign that you're growing. The Stoics believed that adversity is a teacher, not an enemy. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person who they are." When you face challenges, you have a choice. Let them define you, or let them refine you. But resilience alone isn't enough. You also need to adapt. The world is constantly changing, and success often requires flexibility. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. Stay open to new ideas, new strategies, and new paths. Rigidity is the enemy of growth. The Stoics called this ability to adapt prohairesis, the power to choose your response. No matter what happens, you always have control over how you react. This mindset isn't just about achieving your goals, it's about enjoying the process. Too often, people tie their happiness to a future achievement, telling themselves, "I'll be happy when..." But that kind of happiness is fleeting. It's a mirage that keeps moving further away. True fulfillment comes from finding meaning in the journey, from appreciating the progress you're making today, even if it's not yet where you want to be. Gratitude becomes a powerful tool here. Instead of focusing on what you haven't achieved, focus on what you've already accomplished. Celebrate the small wins. Every step forward is proof that you're capable of more. Gratitude shifts your perspective, helping you see progress where you once saw lack. In this long game of success, your environment plays a critical role. The people you surround yourself with, the spaces you work in, the habits you cultivate, all of these factors influence your behavior. If your environment doesn't support your goals, it will hinder your progress. Curate a world that inspires you. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, spaces that energize you, and routines that align with your vision. Success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up, learning, adapting and growing, even when the odds feel stacked against you. It's about understanding that the journey will never be smooth, but it will always be worth it. The question isn't whether you'll face challenges, it's how you'll respond when you do. And with every response, you're shaping not just your future, but yourself. Every great story begins with a decision, the decision to try, to step forward, to risk failure, and to grow. But what many people fail to realize is that the decision is only the beginning. The journey that follows isn't defined by that single moment of choice, but by the countless actions that come after. It's the quiet, consistent steps that build momentum, not the dramatic declarations or bursts of enthusiasm. This is where most people falter. They think it's about the spark when, in reality, it's about the fire that keeps burning long after. The truth is, success requires sacrifice, not just in time, but in comfort, in ease, and sometimes in relationships. It means saying no when you want to say yes. It means choosing discipline over distraction, patience over immediate gratification. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This isn't just about enduring judgment from others, it's about sacrificing the part of yourself that clings to approval, to safety, to the fear of looking like you don't have it all figured out. You won't, and that's okay. The journey to success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And progress comes with mistakes, missteps, and moments of doubt. These aren't signs that you're failing, they're signs that you're learning. The Stoics believed that the obstacles you face aren't barriers, they're the path itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you understand this, setbacks lose their power. They become stepping stones, not walls. But the cost of success doesn't stop with effort or resilience. It also requires clarity, a sharp understanding of what you're aiming for and why. Without this clarity, you'll find yourself drifting, caught in the tides of what others expect or what seems easiest in the moment. Goals without direction are like arrows without targets. They might fly far, but they'll never hit anything meaningful. This is why specificity matters. It's not enough to say, "I want to be successful," or "I want to improve." What does success look like for you? What does improvement feel like? Break your ambitions into tangible, measurable steps. If you want financial freedom, define what that means. A specific savings goal, a business milestone, a debt-free life. If you want better health, decide what that looks like. Running a certain distance, lifting a specific weight, feeling a certain level of energy. The clearer your target, the sharper your aim. Clarity doesn't just guide you, it empowers you. It eliminates the noise of distractions and the pull of comparison. When you know where you're going, you stop looking sideways, worried about what others are doing. Their path isn't yours, and their goals don't define your success. Focus becomes your greatest strength. In a world filled with endless options and distractions, the ability to zero in on what matters is rare and transformative. But even with clarity and focus, doubt will creep in. It always does. There will be moments when you question whether it's all worth it, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels insurmountable. These moments aren't unique to you, they're universal. Every person who has ever achieved something worthwhile has faced them. The difference is how you respond. In those moments, remember that progress, even when it feels small, is still progress. Look back at how far you've come, at the steps you've already taken, no matter how modest they might seem. Success isn't built in leaps, It's built in inches. Each step forward is a victory, a reminder that you're still moving. And movement, however slow, beats standing still every time. The beauty of the journey is that it's not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become. The person who starts the journey isn't the same as the one who finishes it. With every challenge, every sacrifice, every triumph, you're reshaping yourself. You're becoming stronger, more resilient, more capable. Success isn't just about reaching the goal, it's about transforming into the kind of person who can. But transformation requires consistency. This is the secret ingredient most people overlook. It's not the dramatic efforts that create lasting change. It's the daily habits, the small choices you make again and again. These are the building blocks of greatness. When you show up, even when you don't feel like it, when you do the work, even when it's hard, you're creating a foundation that can't be shaken. Consistency is hard because it's not glamorous. It's not the highlight reel. It's the early mornings, the late nights, the grind when no one is watching. But this is where the magic happens. The small, uncelebrated moments are where success is truly forged. They're the moments that separate those who dream from those who achieve. And yet, amidst all this effort, don't forget to live. The Stoics emphasized the importance of presence, of appreciating the moment you're in, even as you strive for what's next. They called it amor fati, the love of fate. It's the practice of embracing the present, not as a placeholder for the future, but as a gift in itself. Too often we tie our happiness to some distant milestone, telling ourselves we'll be happy when. But happiness isn't found in the future, it's created in the now. Take time to celebrate small victories, pause to appreciate the process, the lessons, the growth. The goal is important, but so is the journey. The moments of struggle, the quiet triumphs, the connections you build along the way. They're not detours, they're the essence of what makes success meaningful. And when the journey feels long, when the end seems too far to see, remember this: you are closer than you think. Every step, every decision, every action brings you nearer. The life you want isn't waiting for you at some far-off destination. It's unfolding with every choice you make today. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you build brick by brick, moment by moment. So keep going, keep pushing, keep believing. The path isn't easy, but it's worth it. And when you look back, you'll see that the struggles, the sacrifices, and the perseverance weren't just part of the journey. They were the journey. And that journey is what makes success truly yours.